Again, yeah, I'm Darren Lake with Podpaste, which is my company. Hello to everyone out there watching right now, in the present, and in the future. I was originally asked to talk about video podcasting because I'm pretty bull and pro video podcasts as it helped grow my running brand 11x. So I have a running brand, and you can see the running stuff behind me, 11 times in size and reach over the last two years. And the reason why I decided to ask someone if someone would use video to help grow their podcast is because a lot of podcasters immediately think nowadays with all the hype around video, should I have a video? And if you're watching this, you most likely you are that podcaster. And these podcasters want details like the what, the why, the hows. But before you do anything of that, again, should you use video? You should always ask, should I do this thing? Not, I have to do this thing. So should you use video to help grow your podcast? So I'm obviously pro video podcast. So as a bit of a teaser, this is what video podcasts do. This is what a video podcast will do for you. So I'm giving a little cold intro teaser of sorts. Podcasters know about that. I started with this audio file. Then I did this with planning strategy and knowing what to do before I booked my guest. I wrote my outline. So way before I even hit record. So I knew I was going to do all of this. Is what I then ended up making. And this is all from a podcast. And this is called Cascading Content. And I'll get into the details of this. You'll see this slide again, but social video, shorts, short videos, quotes, video clips for YouTube, shorter video, podcast stuff, podcast, newsletter. And that's all because I hit record on a camera when I started my podcast. And that's the video podcast power. So a little bit about me. I'm in Sydney, Australia, which is obviously on the other side of the world. Started out in New York, moved here about 12 years ago, started Podpaste in 2017, founder and executive producer. We do everything from content creation, strategy, production, marketing, and use a video podcast first approach for clients. And again, our podcast work has reached over 1 billion people. I like to say that because I did the numbers and was like, oh, wow, we actually have reached 1 billion. We have some clients that reach a whole lot of people with their podcast. So it's a nice big round number, but it's cool that we're doing all that. So who we worked with, a bit more credibility on my end. We work with big companies like Google, McDonald's, Nike, and small companies, and podcasts that top the charts in their respective niches. So work with a medical podcast that's probably number one. If you're not a doctor, you wouldn't know about it. But it's huge in their industry. And before that, I was a musician that loved the administration side of things and marketing side of the music business. So I have this like half creative, half analytical brain, and I fell in love with narrative podcasts. Way back in 2008, I had that driveway moment with Radiolab and produced my first podcast back in 2014 because music producer, audio, it all made sense. So I finally got to turn my passion of writing, creating, marketing, audio, and now video into reality, which I think honestly, as a creative person, you start to realize it's all the same thing. All right, so what you will get out of this, key takeaways. 1, know the pros and cons of video podcasting for someone that has figured out how to do it cost effectively, and I failed a lot. Determine if video can help market your podcast effectively. Basically, know if you should or should not use video to help market your podcast. The whole kind of crux and thesis of this. Treat your podcast as a central hub for broader branded content. Learn basic social media marketing and promotional tools and tactics to grow your podcast. Basic. We don't go in detail, don't have enough time. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you some pretty cool real world numbers of how I 39x the reach of my content. I had 30x on there, 38, and basically increased the visibility about 52,000 more impressions than just spinning it out as just audio. So I'll do that at the end. Hang around to the end, please. And give me a second. I want to set up the whole should you. So it will take a few minutes to get into the should you. I'm not going to go straight into it because